hopefully it's not too boring for people, but I'm only kind of overanalyzing and repeating myself numerous times because I do think it's quite important, some of these really basic concepts that people kind of overlook, sub 1500 at least. Even at my rating, and like even above 2000, like it's still a thing. All right, we're gonna continue with d4 again. If Perk rocks up, I'll probably play some e4s because I think it was Perk who was asking me the other day for e4s. And I'm going to do what I said the other day again. Not everybody is willing or wants to learn openings, and I think that's fair. I'm actually just going to develop. I'm not going to be focusing on any opening. I'm just going to play this as I would play it if I didn't know d4 at all and I was unwilling to look it up. So I'm going to move one of the knights because it's usually better to move knights before bishops. I'm not going to play c4, and also once again, please no moves while we're playing. I'm going to simply bring out a knight. Why am I choosing this knight as opposed to this knight? Well, because this knight brings me closer to castling kingside. And what do I mean by that? If I want to castle queenside, I have to get the queen out, the bishop out, and the knight out. Here I get the knight out, bishop out, and then I can castle. So I'm just going to simply do this. It'll be boring when I fall asleep on stream. Oh, I shall not be falling asleep on stream. Not anytime soon, sir. Even when I did my 24-hour stream, or ended up being like 25 hours, I was still okay. I had to force myself to kind of go to sleep. So they're going to attack. I do not see any immediate reasons not to take it, but I'm just going to do a double check. Kind of same thing I always tell people, just double check, why not? Also consider the consequences of not taking a pawn. Even though in an opening, if somebody is attacking you, they might know what they're doing if they're trying to do a gambit. For example, after takes, they do have queen a5 check, and then they might be able to take back this way. But after queen a5 check, I will probably just block with like this or like this, but who knows, it could get dicey. So the alternatives here would be either c3, e3, which is actually a move I want to play anyway, but then you have to ask yourself what happens if they don't take. They might take. If they take, that's fine for me. Kind of normal. If I push and they don't take, and they actually push, then do I want to have to deal with this pawn being here and restricting my pieces? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think it's a big deal after e3, c4, c3. I think in the structure is fine, and I think I'm going to allow this. If they take, okay, they're actually going to simply give me a pawn. I think maybe they were thinking that I have to take with the pawn and not take with a knight. Here I will take with the knight and I will likely drop back. Unless we get, so 95, c takes d4, e takes d4. There's no check collecting it. Sorry, there's no queen a5 collecting on c5 because I'm not taking this way. This would be slightly better for black if I did this. Why? Because they would have these two pawns here. Here though, I'm just going to take. No need to damage my structure here. Also applies pressure to f7 immediately. Echo bro, please man. Please sir. It doesn't sound healthy. Oh, it's not healthy being up. There's still no limitations. That's true, bro. I mean, I've been trying to sleep for the last few days. That's why my sleep's even worse now, because I've been trying to go to bed earlier. All right, this person is thinking. I'm not sure if they knew I could take with the knight or not. But yes, we'll look after the game. However, I do think after e5, had I taken the pawn, I mean, it's going to be a free pawn regardless, by the way. Maybe they thought only about taking the c pawn and then maybe they were going to push. That is unfortunately quite a weakening move, and if you guys have done Puzzle Rush, you'll know that this is instantly blundering a rook, I believe. Sorry, an exchange. Because after queen h5, g6 if they choose to go g6, but it might not be, by the way. I just got to double check. Queen h5, g6 is what I'm looking at, because after knight g6, hg6, you take on a8. Sometimes there are other lines where this doesn't quite work. And how do you find something like this if you haven't done as many puzzle rushes? Well, you always want to look at what moves can you make a check with. And in this case, the only moves I can see that make a check are either queen h5 or queen b5. So queen b5, sorry, bishop b5. Bishop b5 is a check. Then they can either block this way, which also wins an exchange actually, if they block with the knight. Because after bishop b5, knight c6, knight c6, actually maybe not so straightforward after queen a5, I don't know. Maybe more to think about. But if they take back, takes, and then, something is most likely winning an exchange. Here, the most likely move I'm going to make is actually just queen h5 because it's just very puzzle rushy. So it's like here, and if they choose not to do this and they want to block, or they want to move the king, queen's going to get into f7, and I think this is going to end up as being a checkmate soon. We'll see. The ELO where this common puzzle comes in handy. What's that? Oh, you're saying this is like around the ELO, yeah? Yes, a lot of these things are, a lot of these tactics happen when people move the f pawn in the opening. And this happens very frequently. I think not everybody realizes how weakening moving f3, f6 can be. You see it mainly in 15, 1600. Yeah, it happens quite a lot. There's a lot of openings where you can just sacrifice things and, you know, end up with a nice checkmate because people just move a pawn in the opening. Of course, there are some openings where you specifically move the pawn, but they're, you know, part of a structure that's not as weakening like this. So like, you know, e4 and f4 if you're playing the King's Gambit, or the Dutch, or whatever it is, you know, when you've played f5, but the structure is different. Yes, I do think they're a little bit cooked here. Yes, g6 once again, knight g6, hg6, queen a8, queen h8. Game's not completely over, but it's not going to be good, especially in a rapid game where I have 5 minutes to work it out. Although honestly, I could work it out much quicker here. So, Pabu, you want me to play the Jabava? That's with the knight on c3, correct? Before I get it wrong again next time. Like d4, bishop f4, and knight c3. Thought so. As opposed to c3. Wait, d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop f4. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, it's knight c3 first. Okay. Yeah, I forget. I don't play the London very much, or the Jabava, obviously. But that's actually probably a good move for me to make here. Sorry, not a good move. A good opening to show as well. I feel like a lot of people do play that. All right, so they're thinking now, what do they do? So let's just also run through what if they don't go g6? Well, they can't take my knight because they're in check. So their two options are either move the king, and they only have actually literally only one square here. They only have king e7. So I'll calculate that in 1 second. But the only other move they have is g6, which standard puzzle rush just takes, and take the rook. So after king e7, queen f7, they only have one move once again, and that is going here. So it's king d6, king d6. There are some tactics like puzzle rushes where if a pawn wasn't here, you end up delivering a checkmate with like an IC4. But that's obviously not doable here, I don't think. I'm just working out if that clears anything, if there's any clearance sacrifice with that. So if king e7, queen f5, queen f7, king d6, I should say, sorry. King d6. Do I then have a checkmate some other way? Well, I could potentially go here. And if they take, maybe I have this, just working this out there. No, it's probably not worth going for any of that. If they go there, I will figure something out. Funny thing is, actually, if I really want, I can still win the rook like this. I'm just deciding if there's anything better, and I'm not sure if there is. There very well might be, though. But I will deal with that at the time. You're more surprised that these 3-400s are not making more blunders than this? It is actually quite impressive how strong some of these players have been so far. Maybe that's thanks to things like Chessable and just like the opening practice on chess.com and elsewhere. Maybe because people are just, and maybe all the content that's out there. I really am finding that they're not making as nearly as many blunders as I expected in the openings, for sure. So I definitely agree with you there. Kind of impressive, actually. Like the bots at this rating range make a lot more blunders. Yeah, I think the sheer quantity of content that's out there, if you just Google like learn chess, you know, like Gotham Chess and just everyone else, like, you know, Daniel Naroditsky, of course, rest in peace, like just all of the people that were and are currently teaching the basics of chess, like they really instill some of the stuff I'm trying to get across here as well. And that that is making these 400s like absolutely Not easy to beat. I think in Blitz and Bullet it would be a different story. But when they have time to think, they are for sure remembering this. Oh, and the chess bars as well, like the habit speed runs. Auto resign, yes. Correct. Sorry, my phone. Make a message. Sure, it says something else. Nope. Yes, good game. I will quickly analyze it. I think they were looking for a way out, but there was no way out there. We will see. There must have been. Yes. All right, here as well, by the way. Apparently not best, but I figured I'd just take this. Takes. So this is what happened in the game. And after this, yes, Queen H5. This is basically just for anybody who did not see it. If they go G6, I'm simply able to take. Classic puzzle rush. If they don't take, it's going to obviously be very tricky for them, but probably best move anyway, just to simply take. And then I take the rook. Now I'm up in exchange in an opening, and their king is very weak. I mean, the whole thing here is weak. But the other option was basically king e7. So we were just kind of looking at forcing lines. Queen f7. They only have one move here. They can't do anything else other than king d6. And then there was a lot of things I was trying to look at. Not sure what was going to be best here. So we were trying to work out. Pabu was just suggesting what happens if I just allow this, which they would have two moves. Basically, this would obviously end up leading to a mate. But if they took the knight, then what? So yes, probably f4 leads to a mate here. So that seems to be all right. Hello, Kayan. Here I wouldn't bring the other knight yet after this because they can probably just take this, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, everything here is going to win. Actually, probably, I wonder if, no, not there. This, they can go there, and then still actually, they still only have this square. Hard to know what's the quickest win, but let's be real. All roads are going to lead to the same place here. A little bit cooked. Little bit cooked. Oopsies. Why is this not clicking through the moves? Oh yeah, they resigned. Whole thing was roasted. It's just an opening blunder. So like, what should they have played instead of f6? You know, what do you guys think they should have played? Well, probably almost anything else. Probably almost anything. Knight d7, maybe not the best move. Bishop d7, perhaps, even though it can be taken. I think knight c6 immediately is probably fine. And then after bishop e5, just bishop d7. And then, yes, if this happens, this is still okay. Fine, there's this pin. It's not as annoying as the alternative. Yes, pretty much nothing f-pawn in this situation. And honestly, before they went e5, even though it looks like a tempting move to play, they should probably focus on what I'm trying to show people what to do. If I was black here, just develop a piece. Just bring a piece out. Try to be aware of this diagonal, because this is a very, very dangerous diagonal to be risking in a lot of these openings. Don't need to take a pawn. You can leave it. All right, if they go something like this, you're probably dealing with some theory. Just, you know, I don't know, whatever. Like, this is what the computer suggested. I'm not even sure I would play that. I would probably continue to develop. Anyway, this is just shows kind of like how risky moving the f-pawn can be in the opening, and also neglecting development and trying to strike when only one of us has a piece in the center here, or that is controlling anything in the center. All right,